this is Rebecca Ariane, and I'm the Executive Director of GARS. I'm going to take just a minute to tell you how to use Soundtrap and our new recording online software. So the first thing that you're going to need is your own computer, either a laptop or PC, whatever works for you. We're actually going to be recording in the browser, so it doesn't matter what type of computer it is. You're going to need a good internet connection with a good speed. Recording works for some people and not for others, and some of it is based on their internet speed. So we never know if it's going to work or not, but it's worth a try. You need a headset. We get ours from Amazon. They're only $20. They're the ones that we have found so far to be good are Logitech H390s. And they're very simple. It's a USB. You just put the USB into your computer and you put on the headset. And this little thing goes up and down, and you want it as close as possible to your mouth. And just be careful when you flip it up, you remember to put it back down, because a lot of times people will forget to put it back down. So it's really easy to use. You're also going to need a quiet room. Something that works well is a closet, especially because of the soundproofing of the clothes, or a small office, or something that is somewhat isolated. We don't want a lot of barking dogs and lawnmowers in the background, car noises, so you just have to be cognizant of that. The other things that we wanted you to know is that we're going to be using this video to tell you general tips on recording as well. Some of our people who are watching it have not really edited before. So if you are an oldie but goodie, you may have some information that you already know. And it's always good to go over things. So what I'm going to do is walk you through how to do it step by step. I'm going to start loading with the browser, and then we're going to walk through Soundtrap, all the different features and options that you should be ticking and making sure that is correct on your computer to do the recording, and then how to get it to us. So I'm going to take you step by step. So this will be the last you see of me. I'm going to actually be showing you my computer screen so that you can actually follow along on your computer screen and make sure that everything that you need is happening on the screen. So thank you very much. I hope this works for you. Like I said, it doesn't work for everyone, but it's a good try, and some of the recordings that we've gotten have been excellent. So fingers crossed.
You can see your
Thank
screen
you.
right here. One thing that I would like to recommend before we begin is if you're going to be reading an online source like a magazine or a newspaper that you can only get online, I would find it difficult to both record and read from the same screen. So I would actually probably choose to have an e-reader or an iPad to read from, and then just use this screen for recording. That would be my preference. I think it'd be easier than toggling between the two. So what I'm going to do, it doesn't matter what type of computer. I have a MacBook, but you might use it doesn't matter. You might use a PC. You're going to actually be recording in the browser. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a Google Chrome browser, and you can use whatever you want. And we're going to go to soundtrap.com. And what we're going to do is we're going to log in, and we're going to log into the GARS account so that all the recordings go right to GARS. So the login email is my email, RARAYAN at GARS, GARRS.org. And the password is capital G, small ARRS, numbers 123. And so that's GARS 123. There's no spaces, and the only capital letter is the G, GARS 123. We're going to log in, and it's going to open up our recording session. So what we have here is our session. You can see that one of our volunteers, Mally, and here's her recording that she did for us. It automatically saves it for us, so we can just go in and get it whenever we need it. So what we're going to do to start a recording is we're going to go to this orange button here and push Enter Studio. And that's going to open up a recording session for us. And it says I have a draft from 9 minutes ago. I do not care. So you might actually get that, and I don't care for that draft. So I'm just going to start a new recording of my own. So it asks me to select a template, and we're going to go to blank and select that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move to the left side here to this little plus and add a new track. It's going to say what type of track. Well, we're not doing musical thing. We want a voice track. So we're going to go to voice and microphones and click there. And then there's something that's really important that you need to do. We need to change this voice. You can see that it has reverb on, and that gives it that echo sound, and we want to get rid of that. So if you just go over to this voice box and click on the right hand arrows 2 times, you should get dry. And who knows, it might change, but either way you're going to get dry. So you want that reverb down all the way to the bottom. So now that we've gone and done that, we need to do 4 other things. The first thing we need to do is click this little R here so that it turns on, and it's going to say, do you want to use the headphones? Of course we do. So I'm using headphones. So that's gone ahead and got your headphones on. You may, if you've never used the headphones before, you might get a box, or at some point, even when you open the browser, a box saying, do you want to allow access to the headphones or microphone or something like that? And of course you want to say allow. Okay. So now you're going to go to the settings on the top of the screen here, and you're going to click, and you're going to do sound quality, and you're going to make sure that it's on medium. So we want to make sure that that is medium, and then we're going to go to the settings again and do a sound setup. So this actually checks the sounds for you. Some browsers will actually allow you to listen to yourself as you're talking. Some people find that annoying. Only one of the browsers works like that, and I can't remember which one. Obviously, it's not Chrome. So it tells you what to do, and it'll walk you through the sound setup. So you might not be able to hear yourself, but the computer will be able to gauge what you're saying. So plug in your microphone next. Select the input device. See, mine has a built-in microphone with the computer, but I don't want that. I want the USB headset. So that's purple, so I'm good there. So now we're going to give you a volume test. It's going to tell you to sing. I won't sing for you, but you're going to have to speak loudly for a minute, and then it's going to tell you to be quiet. And it'll actually say, if you're listening, it'll say shh. So you just follow right along. It's easy. Okay, so it wants me to talk very loud or sing. So what it's doing is adjusting the volume and adjusting the way I talk. Okay, so it's happy with me. So I'm just going to click OK, and we've gone ahead and done that. The other thing that you need to do is we're going to hover the pointer over the microphone in the microphone box right over here. And this will bring up the little cog wheel in the background. See, this little cog, if I'm not on it, it doesn't bring up the little cog wheel. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one more thing. We're going to freeze the track, which frees up CPU, and hopefully that will keep us going from any errors or any problems with memory. Okay. One thing that I do want to tell you is that as we're recording, it takes up a lot of the CPU. So what you want to do is back out of any extra programs that you might be in. You don't want Word, you don't want Excel, you don't want other things in the background. You just want to have this recording instruments on. Okay. So try to back out of anything you don't need. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start a recording. I'm going to explain down here. The program counter is down here. So this tells you how long you've been recording. Okay, of course, most of our recordings are 28 or 58 minutes. We give you about 15 seconds leeway for each of those times. So it could be between 27:45 and 28:15, but we want you to get as close as that to that minute mark as possible. All right, another of these things, here's your master volume, so you can always move that back and forth if you want. Here is the record button. So this is all you have to do is press record and it'll start recording. Here's the stop or the pause button, either one. It stops. This goes rewind. It rewinds, I believe, all the way back to the beginning. Here's the play. So if you make a mistake, even though you cannot hear yourself recording, when you play it, as long as your volume is up, it will play back into the headphones or over your whatever you're listening to on your computer. So you will be able to hear yourself if you need to back up and make a mistake. And then there's the fast forward, and that goes a few seconds at a time. Okay, so these are the only controls you're really going to worry about the entire time. Okay, so One thing that you really need to be aware of before you go ahead and press record, there is a countdown before the record starts. There's 5 seconds, and you'll see it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That happens no matter where you are. So even if you stop in the middle and you need to press record again, you still have to wait for that countdown. A lot of people, when they start using the program, forget, and then they start talking, and then half their sentences cut off. Okay, so you need to make sure and wait for that countdown. I want to go through just a few things, some hints on picking materials. Articles of interest. If there's an article that has to deal with a print impaired audience or any type of disability, of course we want to read that because it would be very interesting to our audience. Also, things that are of interest to you are likely of interest to our audience, and you will actually sound better probably when you're reading something that you're actually interested in. If you're reading a local newspaper, try to pick articles that are about the local community. Even though the national news might be interesting or the story might be breaking, we have other national news programs that will likely be talking about that to death. Really, when you're reading the local news, you really want to specialize just in those types of stories. Also, you want to pick long articles at the beginning of your recording and then try to fit the shorter articles in at the end to try to get as close to that 28-minute mark as possible. Okay. So when you begin reading, whether it's a book or a magazine, you're going to begin using your general guidelines for magazines and newspapers. If you have a specific guideline for your reading material or a books, they all have their own guidelines. So you want to be sure and use that so that we're all consistent. So it says, when starting a magazine or newspaper, open with. So I'm going to go ahead and press record and open with a new line. So watch at the top here. You're going to see that countdown pop up. General guidelines for magazines and newspapers, and I'm going to start with my opening. The record button's down here. You're going to push record, and then you're going to watch. There'll be a countdown up here. Okay, so be careful of that countdown, and then you're just going to go right into your story. This program is intended for a print-impaired audience and is brought to you by the Georgia Radio Reading Service, or GARS. Hello, I am Rebecca Ariane. I'll be reading from the November 21st edition of Newsweek magazine. The first story is Dead Sea Scrolls Revealed, How Scientists Crack the Secrets of the Mystery Texts, and that article is by Charlotte Hempel and originally published on the Conversation website. About 1,000 Dead Sea Scrolls discovered just over 70 years ago on the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea have been officially published since the turn of the millennium. Okay, I'm going to stop there and just do a quick sound check and make sure that everything's okay. You can do this earlier after the intro and just do the intro again. Oops. So you want to grab the purple if you want to do it with that, or else you can rewind back here too. There's lots of ways to use it. If you'd rather use the cursor, you can use that. If you want to do the rewind, I'm going to turn my volume up so I can hear it. This program is intended for a print-impaired audience and is brought to you by the Georgia Radio Reading Service, or GARS. Hello, I am Rebecca Ariane. I'll be reading from the November 21st edition of Newsweek magazine. The first story is Dead Sea Scrolls Revealed, How Scientists Crack the Secrets of the Mystery Texts. That article is by Charlotte Hempel and originally published on the Conversation website. About 1,000 Dead Sea Scrolls discovered just over 70 years ago on the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea have been officially published since the turn of the millennium. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Okay, so that sounds good to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back it up to right where I stopped. Let me turn this off so we don't get the reverb. To where I stopped, and then I'm just going to listen to the last bit, and I'm going to pause it. Now when you pause it, you want to make sure that you leave enough space at the end of your prior sentence so that they're not chopped close together, and you want to make sure it's not in the new sentence. Okay, so the beauty of this editing program is that you're just going to push record again, and it's going to record over the top of this part right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just go ahead and push record. Be careful of that countdown again. But in the case of some, all that was left were poorly preserved remains of texts written in a cryptic script, and all that had been released to the world were photos of small pieces of the manuscript in a preliminary order. There have been previous attempts to decipher them, though we were left with substantial gaps in our understanding of what they contained. So the recent story of the publication in the US-based Journal of Biblical Literature, okay, let's say there, I made a mistake, I stopped. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do is go back to the beginning of the sentence of wherever I stopped, just like I did before, find where I left off, pause it, and re-record over the end. It's that simple. Okay, that's it. Preliminary order. And bring my volume back down. For some reason I get reverb on when my volume's up. So I'm going to park it right there at the beginning of the next one, and I'm just going to go back to recording again. It's really that easy. So you're going to record your whole program. Be sure when you're using a magazine, be sure that you mark at the end of your article that you've finished. Some people just start their next article and it's very confusing. So what you want to do when you're finishing was saying that story by Charlotte Hempel was titled Dead Sea Scrolls, da 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 da. Okay, so that tells them I finished with that article, and then you'll start with the next story is whatever the name is and by whatever it is. And then if it has a timeline by Reuters, you can say that as well. Okay, so your author, title, source, and try to close up the article when you're finished with it. Okay, some notes when you're correcting mistake. Note where you are, back up, play and listen. Try and click softly on your mouse or on your computer, because a lot of times your microphone will actually pick up that click, and our producer who is visually impaired, Phil, he'll hear that and it drives him crazy. So try to be very soft on any keys that you're using. Other general things, be careful of paper noises. When you're moving or texting or clicking, you'd be surprised how much of that actually comes up. If you actually have a picture in your article, try to describe it. Just tell them there's a picture accompanying the article. There's a picture of a woman. Let me see. I'll do this Newsweek one. Oh, it doesn't have a picture that comes with it. So, oh, here. Okay, there's a picture that's accompanying the article. This is a picture of the caves at Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were delivered. What is in the picture is a very rocky, mountainous skyline. There's clouds in the background, and then mountains, and you can see a big mountain with different little holes in it, so that you can see the different little caves where the scrolls were found. There's very little greenery. It's all dry, sandy desert and a mountain. So, I mean, none of us are great at describing pictures, but what are the things that we look for first when we look at an article? We look at the picture, and our listeners want to know that too. I mean, I'm not the best describer, but I would appreciate, that someone actually took the time to do that. Also, if you're at the end of your recording and you need a little bit of fill at the end of your program, describing a picture usually takes a few minutes, so that's a nice fill right there. Okay. If you need to move between publications, they are reading between two magazines, make sure that you announce that so that they know that you're moving to another publication. Be sure and enunciate clearly and speak naturally. You don't want to be too slow or too fast. Pretend that there's someone in the chair across from you. I think some of our better volunteers actually think of themselves reading to someone. And just putting that face there helps them modulate their voice and be very natural in their reading. When you end your program, so let's pretend that we have our 28 or 58 minutes or whatever it is, okay? Okay, so you want to make sure and close it out. You're going to close it out with, let's wait, here's our recording. For our recording to start. That's all the time that we have for today. I have been reading Newsweek magazine for GARS. Thank you for listening. This is Rebecca Ariane. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. You can close it out in words such as that, however you want. Check your time, make sure that you're within the allowable amount. Books should definitely be 58 minutes. And just for your information, even your last session should be 58 minutes. So if you run out of a book and say you still have 10 minutes left, you need to try to find some type of information to fill in that last 10 minutes, either something about the author, something about another book in the series, something about what happened during that time. Say you're talking about apartheid, and you can find more information about that and fill in 10 minutes. Staff can help you find more information if you're not comfortable finding something. Just make sure that all the programs are the correct length. Okay, so we're done with our recording, right? And it was wonderful and quick and fast. So what we're going to do is, when you're finished with your recording, what we're going to do is save it. So we're going to go to File and Save As. And it gives you some type of song here. But what we're going to ask you to do is put your name in. And then the date. So today is February 21st, 2018. And then I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and it's saving it. And it's all done. Okay, so now that we can go back to the home, we can exit the studio right here. And now we're back into the home page. You'll see, here's my recording here, and it's going to have this word mixing. You want to make sure that when you're recording, you have at least 15 minutes for mixing. Sometimes it takes longer. If you have a 58-minute program, it's going to take a while for whatever they do on their end to do their mixing. Okay, but as long as you see it here in this program lineup, the producers will be able to get to it. So you can do one of two things. You can wait for it to finish mixing, and you can push, well, you can always play for wait here, but after it's done mixing, like we'll use Mally's right here, we can go ahead and download a copy of it. We always want to download the MP3 because it's a smaller file. So you can download a copy of it, and you can see it's being sent here. I don't care to give Soundtrap to my friends, so I'm just going to X out of that. And then I'm going to save this to my desktop. So I'm just going to drag it over to my desktop, or however your computer works. Oh, I guess this isn't going to... It's going to open it in iTunes here. Okay. All right, so I can either save it, or what I can do is just leave it here and go to my email and send the producers an email saying that it's there, and they can go and grab it from there. So they just open up Soundtrap, and then they just download it when it's done mixing. Okay. So you can download it right here as well. Download as an MP3 when it's done mixing. Okay. So it's very easy. If you want to send an email, send it to programs@gars.org and just say, hey, my program recording is done. The title is Rebecca Arian 02/21/2018, and the producers will go and get it. So if you have any questions about this, you can always call us. Our number is 404-685-2824. You can always email the producers. They can help you. We're here to make this as easy as possible. So hopefully that this was helpful for you and it was easy. Really, there's not much that you need to do. Just enter the studio, change your settings, start your recording, and then save it. And it should save right here, and you can either download it and email it to us separately, or you can just leave it in here. And if it's a big file, it's going to be difficult to send it. And then you can just give us an email shout out saying it's done. Go and grab it from Soundtrap. So thank you very much for your time. I hope that this was helpful. Thank you for your patience, and we look forward to hearing your recordings.